So I'm rewatching Grey's Anatomy again, and I'm currently on season 4, episode 11. Derek kisses Rose and then turns around, like wow, he's going to build Meredith her dream house, and then accuses her of not trusting him. Sire, you are literally giving her reasons every single day to not trust you. It's beyond frustrating to watch Meredith trying to explain that she just needs more time, and Derek couldn't care less. Oh no, he wants everything on his timeline, despite knowing the baggage Meredith's carrying and her age. Let's go over the highlights, shall we? First off, he didn't even tell her he was married. He strung both Addison and Meredith along for months. Then he kissed a nurse and kept it a secret. Classic Derek. He throws new changes at her like it's a game, never giving her a moment to adjust, and then wonders why she's not ready to jump into his perfect little world. Gee, I wonder. I honestly hate Derek for what he did to Meredith. I'll give him credit for being decent with everyone else, but Meredith deserved way more than this walking red flag of a man. And you know what? I started noticing Burke doing the same thing on my rewatch, just without the extra women. He's in such a hurry to get serious with a woman who's not exactly loaded with life experience. Wow, good for you, Burke. Real nice move. Derek seriously acted like he didn't do anything to make Meredith lose trust in him. Let's run through this list. He chose Addison over her, let Addison publicly humiliate Meredith, and then when Susan died, Derek just decided to be a total jerk about it. Oh, and let's not forget the time when Thatcher slapped Meredith and Derek was off flirting with random women in a bar, calling it the best part of his week. Right, because that's what Meredith needed, her boyfriend acting like an emotionally immature child. And then, when they were apart, what did Derek do? He went on to date someone else instead of trying to fix things with Meredith. But sure, she's the problem, right? I can't stand Derek when it comes to Meredith. He was toxic. He didn't cheat, but honestly, he should have been working on his relationship instead of acting like Meredith's lack of trust was just a result of her past trauma. He could never take accountability, and that's the real issue. And don't even get me started on how they turned him into a saint after he died. Like, no. I wish he had stayed alive so Meredith could have dumped him for breaking his promise to prioritize his family. Ah, the classic case of Jo and Ben's residency drama. Let me break it down for you with the sarcasm you're looking for. So Jo, yeah, she's practically walking around like she's already a world-renowned attending surgeon, even though she's technically still a resident in OB/GYN. But hey, why bother with supervision when you can just waltz into the OR, do procedures solo, and make decisions like you're running the whole hospital? Sure, she's in a different specialty, but apparently being an attending in one field automatically gives you the right to act like you're a superstar in all of them. And don't get me started on the congratulations on your engagement comments like she's the only one who's ever had a personal life. Then there's Ben, poor guy. He's stuck in this constant loop of I can't make any decisions without being told what to do mode. The guy can't even do a simple procedure without getting the side-eye from Altman, who's treating him like he's some clueless intern who's never touched a scalpel. And let's not forget, this is a guy who was once an attending in anesthesiology. Yeah, that's right. He was at the top of the food chain until he decided surgery was his next big career move. Twice, and now he's just hanging around doing lab work and taking orders. It's almost like Altman's telling him, go sit in the corner, you're nothing, while Jo gets to roam free, living her best life like she's already earned a permanent spot in the attending club. Sure, Ben's a little reckless, but this seems like a serious case of you're only as good as your last decision. Honestly, if they were being remotely fair, he should have just come back as an anesthesiologist instead of constantly switching lanes. How many career changes can one guy take before he starts looking like a walking midlife crisis? But here's the thing, they've made it pretty clear, in the medical hierarchy, surgery is the creme de la creme. Jo Wilson, she's been through it all, trained under Meredith Grey, and conquered surgery like it was her side hustle. Now she's just leveling up in OB/GYN, which in the surgery world is still considered the weaker specialty, but hey, it's a step up. Meanwhile, Ben's been reduced to a mere shadow of his former self, a resident who's clearly not allowed to make any moves without a team of attendings and surgeons breathing down his neck. Jo's situation is kind of like Arizona Robin's when she took on the Herman residency. Not exactly starting over, but definitely expanding her horizons. She's an attending already. She doesn't need someone to hold her hand through every decision. Ben, on the other hand, left surgery in the dust after quitting residency, took years off, and now he's trying to come back like he's some fresh-faced rookie who never had an ounce of authority. The difference is simple. Jo never left medicine. She didn't quit, and she didn't start from the bottom. Ben? Well, he kind of did. Twice. That's the real kicker. Jo's practically acting like an attending while Ben's still in his remember, you're a resident phase. It's almost poetic, if it weren't so frustrating. Arizona. Anyone else think it's kind of forced and cringe when she says tiny humans? Like it was cute at first, but now it's just, she says it all the time, and it's getting old. Okay, maybe I'll get downvoted for this, and maybe I'm way off, but hear me out. It's easy to forget that kids are actual people. I know, that sounds horrible, but that's kind of what it feels like sometimes. In a medical setting, everything about a child's care goes through the parent or guardian, which makes it easy to slip into the mindset that kids aren't independent little humans. But they are. They have opinions, they have autonomy, and calling them tiny humans instead of just kids or children, well, that's a little reminder of that. It's actually a thing in some clinical settings, where professionals use it to subtly nudge parents into recognizing their kids as real people, not just extensions of themselves. I get it now. Arizona's just trying to emphasize that she sees kids as people. As someone who's trying to become a pediatric surgeon, I can totally get behind that. But still, I'm not sure how many times I can hear tiny humans before it starts to make me cringe too. Leah Murphy. Oh, where do I even start? She is so insufferable. In Season 10, Episode 6, Alex and Arizona are in the middle of an operation, and they're casually talking about how Leah goes from 0 to I love you in 7 seconds. Yeah, because nothing says stable and well-adjusted like jumping headfirst into declarations of love. And let's not forget that Leah's been messing around with Robins, and now, here we are, watching this cringe-worthy mess unfold. Seriously, I can't stand her. I've watched this series over and over, and every single time, I get this wave of disgust when Leah shows up. Like every time. She even has the nerve to tell Ross and Edwards, sorry, I'm in love. Oh really? You're just in love? That makes everything better, right? And don't even get me started on how she fuels an HR complaint and goes after Callie. I mean, Callie is literally one of my top favorite characters. Right up there with Taurus and Bailey. Leah is just the worst. I had to label this a spoiler, just in case there are any newcomers to Grey's who haven't gotten to this treasure of a storyline yet. Then there's the whole fiasco in the OR with Callie. Callie didn't even know it was Leah who messed up until Leah starts freaking out and begs Arizona for help, like she's a helpless little mess. She even tells Arizona to have Callie take the drill back. And let's be real, the HR report should have been about Leah, not Callie, and it drives me nuts every single time I watch it. Oh, and don't forget about Owen. That guy actually sexually harassed Shane. He recommended that Shane be fired and bullied him because he found out about the Shane/Christina thing. And nothing happened. Let that sink in. Thatcher Grey. Seriously, can someone just smack some sense into him already? I get it, I'm a little late to the game here, since I'm only on Season 3, Episode 12, but wow, does this guy just get under my skin? How does someone so weak and spineless exist? Look, I get that Ellis isn't some saint either, but at least Ellis did make a decision to leave, even if it was a crappy one. Thatcher could have fought for Meredith. He could have stood up to her mother or tried anything. But nope, he bailed without a second thought. And let's talk about his wife while we're at it. She's just as bad. She just went along with it, pretending Meredith didn't exist, never once trying to reach out to her. Seriously, how can you just abandon your child and your stepchild and act like it's no big deal? And then there's the liver transplant debacle. Meredith giving him part of her liver? Ridiculous. But of course, in true Meredith fashion, she justifies it with some self-sacrificing BS about saving Lexi instead of Thatcher. She didn't want to break Lexi, and sure, I get that. But that man, he doesn't deserve a thing from her. The guy barely cared about her, and all he ever did was bring more pain into her life. He didn't fight for her when she was a kid. He didn't even try to be there for her when she was older. Just plain weak. Thatcher doesn't even deserve Meredith's kindness, and I'm so glad she's at least keeping the door open for a potential reunion. If that guy ever does show up and beg for forgiveness, he better bring more than just an apology. He owes her way more than that. And honestly, how do you leave a kid with someone as unstable as Ellis? That's just pure evil. I get that Susan felt guilty and tried to make amends by reaching out to Meredith, but Thatcher? Nah, he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. He's done nothing but make Meredith's life harder. He deserves every ounce of the hate she has for him, and then some. Seriously, he needs to get some karma soon, and by soon, I mean yesterday. So, I'm currently on season 3, and I really love the show, but seriously, these random relationships are killing me. Like George and Izzy just suddenly hooking up. Out of nowhere. It felt so forced, and honestly, I couldn't take it. And then there's Alex with his thing for Dr. Montgomery. I get that she's great, but that relationship? Not necessary. I know some people watch for the drama of the relationships, but I watch for the medical stuff, the patient storylines, and the overall chaos. Some relationships are fine, but others just feel completely random, especially the random sex scenes. Sorry, I know I'm rambling, but I swear, I do like the cast and the show. I just don't want to stop watching. I wish I could tell you it gets better, but I won't lie to you. I love the show, but if you're tuning in for the medical stuff, Grey's isn't exactly the best pick. I always say the hospital is just a backdrop for the characters to keep bumping into each other. Why does everyone in TV land suddenly have cancer? Seriously, brain tumors, skin cancer, spinal cord tumors, heart tumors. Cancer is basically a guest star in every episode. They're about to do a simple procedure and bam, surprise cancer. How medically accurate is that? Are we just walking around with hidden tumors we don't even know about? Is that the new normal? Now, we've hit the point where 1 in 2 people are affected by cancer worldwide. But what isn't accurate on Grey's Anatomy is how these surgeons just make decisions on their own, like they're running the show solo. No team input, no specialists involved, just them, doing everything including operating the scanners. It's a bit unhinged. Oh, except for that one time when a lead character spent some time on the oncology ward getting treatment under a different specialty. That was so realistic. I get the point, and sure, people live with tumors they don't know about all the time. I remember this one episode where Alex and Han found a pancreatic tumor in its early stages, which, by the way, is super rare. Pancreatic cancer is one of those silent killers that grows so slowly, by the time it's found, it's too late. But honestly, I'd love to see a broader range of medical conditions explored on the show. Don't get me wrong, I don't want the characters dropping dead from some horrific disease, but maybe show something like heart disease, diabetes, speech impediments, or mental health issues. A little variety would add depth and give the specialists more screen time too. Spinal cord cancer has some Finchy backstory, sure, but let's be real, cancer is way more common than people think. Still, in one workplace, it's getting a little ridiculous. Same goes for the never-ending disasters. Real life doesn't have sweeps weeks or actors vying for dramatic storylines. Oh, and don't get me started on Amelia's brain tumor. The writers must have realized they wrote themselves into a corner and decided, let's just blame it on a tumor. It's almost as if they thought, we're so inconsistent with her character, this is the only way we can make it make sense. Season 21, Episode 14. Pretty straightforward, but honestly, it's a gem. The highlight? Teddy's meltdown over Owen sleeping with someone else, even though she was the one who pushed for the open marriage in the first place. Because, she couldn't wait to get with the other doctor. Classic. So Teddy's mad that Owen actually followed the rules they agreed on, the rules she initiated, just because she suddenly got cold feet. Hilarious, right? Like, girl, make up your mind. You wanted this, you got it, and now you're playing the victim when things don't go the way you expected. Then there's the whole thing with Dr. Griffith and the doctor who kicked her out of her original program. I'm loving how quickly he dropped the act in front of Bailey, though it was almost comical. It was a little surprising that Griffith was so taken by him, hanging on his every word until they hit the oar, and then poof, the charm wore off. At least she stood her ground for her patient, and it was nice seeing Griffith step up to clean up the mess of someone who wrote her off. But back to Teddy, she's wild this episode. Seriously, her whole "who was it that slept with somebody else" moment was just ridiculous, considering she did the exact same thing when they were engaged and not in an open relationship. Let's not forget, the open marriage was her idea. This time, Owen isn't the one in the wrong. She suggested it, then completely backed out, and Owen was left clueless. Remember, Teddy already cheated with Karasik, and yet somehow, she's playing the victim again. Teddy's character is barely recognizable at this point. The Teddy we saw with Christina and the Teddy we have now are totally different people. And speaking of characters, what's up with Weber and Ndugu? They both seemed like they had a chip on their shoulders the entire episode. Teddy's being rude to Warren and playing the victim with Owen. And honestly, Owen's not in the wrong here for once. Teddy's been acting out and a bit too overwhelmed lately. As for Ndugu, was he mad that Link didn't go to the game? Or does he just not like Blue? Weber? Just being Weber, doing his thing. If you were rushed into Gray Sloan for emergency surgery, which surgeon would you trust with your life? Oh, you have to choose from anyone who's ever worked there, because apparently the clock's ticking, and you can't just pick any random resident. Personally, I go with Meredith Grey. Sure, she might be a little emotionally complicated, but hey, she's general surgery, meaning she knows a bit of everything. Plus, if things go sideways, she won't just roll over and give up. She'll fight until she can't anymore. For a heart issue though, call Yang, no question. The woman's a genius when it comes to anything cardiac. But if I'm talking anything else, Addison Montgomery would be my pick. Brilliant, funny, and honestly, she's got that perfect balance between being caring and not sugarcoating anything. Plus, I'd never have to worry about my concerns being dismissed just because I'm a woman. I mean, it's a miracle she doesn't have a whole fan club following her around the hospital. I'd obviously choose my surgeon based on the specialty I need. I'm not going to call Mark or Bailey if I'm dealing with a spinal tumor or anything remotely tricky. We're not here for impossible situations if they can't handle the pressure. Now, let's talk about the cast. Who's a hit and who's a miss? The best? Well, obviously Patrick Dempsey, Jessica Capshaw, Chandra Wilson, Sarah Drew, and Sandra Oh. They nailed their roles, no doubt about it. But there are a few I'm just not that into: Camilla Luddington, Martin Henderson, Tessa Farrer, and Marika Domincic. Sorry, but their acting doesn't always land for me. As for the rest, I'd put Katerina Scorson, Ellen Pompeo, and Kelly McCreary in the sometimes great, sometimes a bit stiff category. Their performances aren't always as fluid as I'd like them to be. But hey, that's just my opinion. You do you. And apparently, I'm still obsessed with Jessica Capshaw, Sarah Drew, and yeah, Addison, Katerina Skorson too.